Hello and welcome back to Pilot Light Your Writing. Today's episode is all about pacing. Pacing is a tool to make sure that your story doesn't bore people or give them a whiplash. I'm sure you've come across some films or books or TV series where, at one point you feel like the film is dragging and you get up to make yourself a cup of tea. That's not good. You're losing your viewer or your reader if you're reading a book. And the opposite is also true. I'm sure you came across some films and it's going so fast, you don't even know what's going on anymore. That is also a problem. And today we're going to see how to control the pacing. First question, what is pacing really? Pacing is the feeling of time in your story. It's not about how long a scene is. It's about how fast or how slow it feels. Pacing is what creates tension, urgency, relief, and emotional weight. So you control it with certain tools, and I'm going to tell you those tools. First, the obvious one is the scene length. A long scene or a short scene. The second thing you could use is the sentence rhythm, and that can be used in screenplays as well. It's not only in books. You can choose the rhythm of your sentences in your screenplay to get your rhythm a bit quicker or slower depending on your story. Then you can use it for action versus reflection. You can have a scene of action and then followed by a scene of reflection. And also it's the dialogue versus description. If you have a good pacing between your dialogue and your description, it is a way to control your pacing as well. There are many scripts where the dialogue is too heavy, or it's the opposite. The description is too heavy and not enough dialogue. Sometimes it's good for certain scenes, but not for the whole script. So dialogue versus descriptions can also include cuts, pauses, or even silence. So if you come back to the example of Finding Nemo. Finding Nemo is super fast pace. So because it's an adventure, you've got an ocean adventure. It's in constant motions. So the scenes are quite quick. But then if you, by contrast, if you take Wall-E, there is almost no dialogue for 20 minutes and yet it's gripping. And there is no right or wrong. They both work. They both work because the pacing is intentional. And that's why it's important to really decide the pacing of your scene. So when do you decide to speed it up? You want to speed up your pacing. And that means shortening the scene, shortening the sentences, using action verbs when your character is under pressure, when he's in danger, when he's making a choice, when he's escaping, chasing, running, arguing. This is when you really want to write tight sentences, short paragraphs, quick cuts. I don't know if you've noticed, but in Squid Game, when the game begins, it's bang, 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 bang. It's really short scenes. And then time stretches when they're off the game. And then it rushes back again. And that's the pacing. My main tip when you're writing these kind of scenes is like cut the fluff, limit reflection, use verbs like a whip, action verbs, active verbs. When do you slow down the pacing and take your time? Well, that's when you want your reader or your viewer to feel something, to reflect, to absorb the world, to sit with tension. If you take the example of Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, the slow erasure scenes feel tender and tragic, and it's still full of movement. In your prose, in your description, and that is, for screenplays or books, you want to use probably longer sentences, and especially sensory details, more poetical words, pause on the emotional shift. So basically, pacing is not about action. Pacing is about emotion. Always come back to emotion. It has nothing to do with the page count. You can have one page that can feel really boring. And then, you can have a 10-page scene that can fly by because it's so tense and charged. So it's not about how many words you put on the page. It's more about asking the question, what do I want the audience to feel right now? You want them to hold their breath, or you want them to exhale and relax and reflect? You know, when you take the example of Black Mirror, most episodes have a slow reveals of characters. We enter very gently in their world, and then we have explosive endings. So that's how he grips us. Charlie Brooker, that is. Your writing prompt for you today. So write a scene. I suggest to take a scene from a story that you're already writing at the moment, but otherwise I can give you an example. Like imagine one of the character is receiving bad news, or character is arriving very late at a crucial meeting. Then write this scene twice. First, make it very fast-paced, punchy, tight, anxious. And then write the same scene, but make it slow, lingering, reflective, emotional. And ask yourself, which one hits harder? And what feels right for your story? And that's how you develop pacing instincts. And I like to insist on instincts. Pacing goes with your instincts. But when you can't get it wrong, if you keep in mind that if you have an action scene, it should be punchy, tight. And if you have a reflective scene, it should be a bit slower and you take your time. You just have to feel it. So now you know how to speed it up, slow it down, and keep your story breathing. So keep writing, keep lighting up stories, and I see you soon for more story magic. Bye!